What is up? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 4th annual Domies, the Kingdom Golf Show annual award show. This year, title sponsors are Grey Ridge Coffee and Bitcoin Well. With these awards, we focus on shining a light on local Manitoba golf courses throughout the province. The past couple of years, we've actually expanded it to get past the Westman area. So we've got some new courses. We've got some new winners this year. We had a lot of engagement this year, a lot of nominee engagement, absolute banger videos from Patty and the boys at Evo. Just absolutely love seeing that kind of engagement, getting everybody to get their votes going. And a little fun for the boys as well. Little friendly competition amongst the finalists. And then we got some new voting methods this year. So Jor's going to let us know about those, and we're going to kick off things right into the nominees and get the awards going.
Yes, sir. Well, welcome everybody to another year. I know it's been a little while since we've been here. So I guess just to maybe break the ice a little bit, get the boys warmed up, I figured it'd be a good idea just to let us know how you guys been doing. Tell us one thing since our last episode. I'm putting you guys on the spot here, so I can start first. But it's been about a month and a half or more since we did a episode of the Kingdom. So here at the house, it is just like everybody in the prairies right now, freezing our ass off, lots of snow. We inherited a new cat, showed up one day, and we started feeding it. And so Arnie has a new best friend in the form of a cat. He doesn't realize that he's 70 pounds heavier than it, and he plays pretty hard. Cat's name's Lucky. So now we have 2 cat people in the kingdom. But outside of that, things have been good here. So whoever wants to go next, give her hell.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Not much to report for our side of things here. Like you said, we're kind of already into some dog days of winter here. Looking at the forecast, it looks like we got some nice days ahead of us. Looking far ahead, I saw that for Christmas week, it's supposed to be like +5 and stuff. So maybe we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're in the thick of it here, trying to get outside as much as possible. But this wind, it's really what the big issue is right now, trying to get the boys outside. But yeah, so we're hunkered down, watching as little TV as you can with 2 under 3 and not going insane. But we're managing, avoiding some sicknesses, catching a few sicknesses. Just winter over here.
Reggie, what's going on north of the
there's some things going on for sure. I've been off the sauce for 2 weeks, so that's first time in a very long time probably that I've taken this long off it. Trying to heal up the guts. As previously mentioned on the Kingdom, I missed a golf trip because of them this summer, so there's some wild comments going on in the chat right now. I think they think it's a Bitcoin chat maybe, but
whoa, hold on here. We had $100,000.
Hey, baby.
Wow. No
That's
wonder.
huge.
No wonder they're going nuts in the chat. That's good. $100,000 is the first time ever, and we're on a live stream. It's kind of cool.
That is nuts.
I would say. I know
That
this
is
is a golf
actually wild.
podcast, but Bitcoin Well is a sponsor of the Domies, and we just hit $100,000 US for the first time ever. Wow.
Pretty substantial.
Let's go, baby.
Can
Sorry,
only go
Reggie.
up from here now. No, it's all good. Yeah, so I've been doing that. I've actually been working out quite a bit. Downside
You're
to it,
looking good.
I can't fit any of my fat clothes anymore that I bought when I was had a barrel. So might have to get some new clothes for Christmas. But not that I was that overweight, but I just bought some fat clothes, I guess, to hide it a bit. So
Close.
yeah, things are healthy on this side of things. Probably go another week or so without alcohol, and then we know it's Christmas. I mean, the next 2 weeks after that, so we know how that goes. I'm not going to try to pretend I'm going to quit alcohol the rest of my life. So I'll get back on the wagon for a little bit, and then hopefully slow down after the Christmas season. So yeah, lots of
Realistic. That's the key.
Yeah.
Shout out to Martha Stewart's Chrome 45. Booty butt cheeks. 100K, baby.
That's pretty wild.
Okay, so let's kick off the show. I think we did this last year too, but I think it is fun because as Drums mentioned, this is the 4th edition of the Domies. We started this back in 2021 for the first time ever, and it has stuck around. So I think it's worth checking back to see what the first show looked like, the first edition of the Domies. So we'll just watch a couple seconds of this, and then we'll move on. Top of the evening to you folks. Welcome to another edition of The Kingdom. Tonight we have a very special episode, probably the most special episode of the entire year. We have the 2021 Domies, which is the awards for Manitoba golf courses. We got toughest course, best greens, best fairways, the best overall course, and we got a few of our own that we mixed in here. So as always, if you have been enjoying, man, we've really digressed since then.
Go from suits to hoodies.
Suits and shirts to hoodies and hats.
Huh?
And
3 different locations.
Drums, we both look like we had quite a mess going on in the background.
I had a big beard there too. That was I don't even remember that.
Boys are looking good. Okay, well, I want to start to the show. That makes me happy. We've been waiting for 100K there for a couple weeks, so it's good to see we finally busted through that. So anyways, this is a golf show. This is the Domies. This is the 4th edition, and we did switch things up a little bit this year. So we've been listening to people. We've been taking the feedback as it came in through the years, and one of the main criticisms we received was that we were pretty Westman focused, and it goes without saying the majority of our followers were and probably still are from the Westman area. So we did it all based on polls on Instagram. And so some people felt like they were a little bit skewed in that sense. And so what we did was we did the quarterfinals and the semifinals via polls. And then we sent out an email with a Survey Monkey to just over 50 golf experts, we called them, from Westman, from Winnipeg. We tried to get a good mixture. Nothing's perfect, but I think this year, is a much better reflection of Manitoba. So as Drums mentioned, we had a couple new nominees, a couple new finalists this year. And so we're excited to see the winners. Nobody knows. And that was the other part last year too, and the years before, is that with the polls, every time you voted, you could actually see the results. So it was pretty obvious to a lot of people who the winners are or were before we even did the show. So this year it's a complete surprise. We're going to have a little bit more drama this year, but we do have 9 categories. We have best social. Sorry, I'm getting some text here for 100K. We got best social media. We got most improved. We have most underrated, toughest course, best greens, best fairways, best overall, best 9-hole course. And new this year, we have the best golf hole. We had to clarify because we didn't want any perverts out there typing in the wrong answers.
Hey.
So with that, Reggie, let's start things off with the best social media. Who are the finalists?
The best social media, as Drums mentioned, had kind of a funny reach out from Patty and Evo Golf. They were playing against each other in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Quarterfinals? Yeah, it would have been quarters. And Patty challenged Evo Golf to a shot on 16 at Augusta with the driver. Pretty phenomenal stuff. Evo replied back. Didn't actually. How close did Evo get?
Inches.
Inches?
It rolled back to inches.
No way. Oh, I didn't see that. Jeez, I wonder how many takes they took. Mac Bush would be getting all pissed off, but I wonder how many takes it took. Anyways, without further ado, the final for the best social media in the province of Manitoba golf industry came down to Lorette and Patty at Dosa. And the winner of this year's social media Domie is Manitoba.
Hey.
Is that how many in a row is that?
Lorette actually won last year.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They must be like 3 for 4 though.
Yes. I'm pretty sure they won 21-22. Lorette took the crown last year, and then Patty got it back this year. So
Love it.
We should give a shout out though. I mean, Patty's been doing some phenomenal work, obviously, for the last several years in terms of getting awareness out there, showcasing the beautiful course in such a small community like Manitoba. And it seems like it's paying dividends. It seems like there's a lot of people. They were nominated for a lot of awards this year, including best greens, best fairways, best overall. And so not only are they showcasing it well, but they're actually walking the walk. So it is one of the top courses. Which tournament was there this year? I think there was it the Mid-Am or the Am? Was that last year?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they had a big tournament there this year. So anyways, Lorette's been doing some great things too. Big shout out to Gareth and his crew at Lorette for their work on social media. It seems like they got a new video coming out every week showcasing the beautiful Lorette course. But Patty took it. Patty and Dosa took the best social media. So cheers to you guys. Woo. Girls.
Beauty. Next up, we have the Domie for the toughest course in Manitoba. This year, the finalists were Granite Hills and Pine Ridge. The winner for the 2024 Domie for toughest course goes to Granite Hills. Reggie, I know your feelings on this course differ from a lot of people's, but it's always one of the top-rated courses. I think this is third year in a row that it's got this championship title. The course itself, just a pretty amazing blend of scenic views inside the Canadian Shield, amongst the water, and absolutely difficult on top of that. So it's a pro caliber course. You've got just amazing views around it. Always one of the favorites in all categories for the Domies.
You know what? I think I got to get back there this next summer. I think I do. I think I just need to get over it. I played forward tees. We were behind a group of 8, and it was a very unpleasant day. So I think I got to get back there and test it out from some tees further back.
And I think we also played kind of at off-peak times, so it was maybe not in pristine condition. So yeah, I'm with you. It's one we should definitely hit back up.
I'll let my grudge down.
I love Granite. I played there a couple times now for a couple stags. I think it's definitely worth the trip. It is a little bit out of the way, but they do have some great amenities in the area now, and it seems like they're kind of building it around that course. There's a couple of really nice ones up there. We won't mention the other one that's very nearby, but apparently it's a nice course. They can also go F themselves. But
Pinawa.
At the same time, yeah, for those who don't know the story, we drove up there for a little golf trip, a little getaway from Brandon one year. Drove to Granite, and they wouldn't give us a tee time the next day at Pinawa. So it was like a Tuesday morning. They said, no, sorry, no tee time. It's ladies' morning. So anyways, not a big fan of Pinawa, but Granite I'm a big fan of. Absolutely scenic, as Drums alluded to there. There's a couple really special holes there, both at the start and at the finish. The last couple holes along the lakeside, there's a par 3 and a longer par 4, I think. But it is the one that stands out to most people as the toughest one. And I think that a lot of people usually clarify that it's from the back tees that it plays the toughest, which I've never played personally, but it's hard enough from the middle tees there. But what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think it's an accomplishment? Do you think it's a pro or con to be the toughest course? I guess that's what I'm saying.
It's a good question.
I don't know.
I think, like you said, it always comes with that caveat of from the back tees, it's the hardest. And then whenever somebody talks about it, they talk about the views, they talk about how spectacular the course actually is, on top of it being extremely difficult. So I don't know. They always say no press is bad press, or
True.
bad. How does it go?
I think you're right.
Yeah, no press is bad press. So there we go. A little bit more good press for them.
Yeah, I think that it's a good thing. I think that it's one of those, it's like going to a ride at the fair, like the hardest ride. You get like a T-shirt for surviving it. So I think that even though it might scare some amateur golfers away from going there because they hear it's a difficult course, I think that the golfers will kind of take that on as like a challenge and say, you know what, this is the toughest course in Manitoba. I'm going to take it on. So
great,
I also want to get there again next year, as Reggie said. So maybe we'll take a King Golf trip up there. There's a couple we got to get to who are award winners tonight. So anyways, big shout out to Granite for second or third Domie. I don't know what it is, but either way, it's clear that they deserve it. So the next one here, this one's always a fun one too. It's called Most Improved Course. So we usually, if you're a golfer, you kind of go through different cycles. Courses definitely do. You notice you go to one course one summer and, you know, the greens are dog shit. And then you go there a couple years later and they're nominated for the best greens. I won't mention any courses in specific, but that was a little bit before the Domie's time, but that's how things go. Yeah, I mean, management changes, superintendents change, and we should give a big shout out to the superintendents from all around Manitoba and beyond for their outstanding work on the courses that we get to play. And so this award kind of goes to the course who, you know, turned things around in people's eyes, or they went through some sort of a hardship, I guess. So the two nominees for the most improved golf course were Manitoba and Poplar Ridge. So you might start to notice a trend here because in the last couple of years, the most improved Wheat City was right up there, and Dave Sanaka and his staff recently took over Wheat City and turned it into what it is today. And in 2024, they did the same thing with Poplar Ridge. Golf Brandon took over management of Poplar. Always had tremendous potential out there. I always loved Poplar Ridge, but it's good to see that they're getting some cred there. And Dosa, of course, they've gone through a couple floods there in the last couple of years, ton of water on the course. And so I think that this one was more dedicated towards the superintendents there than the guy running the Instagram. So anyways, the winner for the most improved golf course in Manitoba 2024 goes to Manitoba Golf Course.
Hey.
Patty Law and the crew, the outstanding super and ground crew there. So shout out to Manitoba Golf Course for just being in fantastic shape. Every time I've been there the last couple of years, there hasn't been a whole lot of things to complain about, especially what they've been through.
Absolutely. We talked to a few guys after the amateur to get some input on the course and how the conditions were. At the time, we did get smoked with a bit of rain for the first couple of days, I think it was, or kind of halfway through the tournament. But outside of that, everyone spoke of how well this course had been maintained up to that point, unfortunately with a bit of water for the tournament. But outside of that, everybody said just absolutely phenomenal conditions. So the boys had it in top shape this year.
Yeah, it's got to be so frustrating. I mean, I can't even really imagine just like the last, I mean, it's probably been going on forever, but I mean, we've been involved in it the last 10 years, just being around Manitoba, being around Neepawa, being around Wheat City. You sink so much time and effort and money into getting the course back to the way you want it, and you get it in tip-top shape, and then the fucking Mother Nature comes the next year and destroys all the hard work that you just put in the last 2 years to get it back up to the way it was. And it seems like, I mean, they're just so resilient there. And yeah, I was there once, I think, when it was kind of wet, and I think the front nine was a little, I think we had to play kind of, I don't know if a couple of the greens weren't open or something maybe, but other than that, every other time I've gone there, it's just in phenomenal shape. And it's like, how much better would the course be if they didn't have that flood every 2 years? You know what I mean? Like, if it's in this good a shape with the flood, like, and it's incredible what those guys do. And obviously they're getting some new systems, and I think they put in a new pond for the water to run off to in Manitoba now. So that obviously helps. But yeah, just a huge shout out to those superintendents, like you said, Jor. That, I mean, it'd be like going to our work, and just everything that you've done over the last year is like, it would basically be like losing your hard drive on your computer, is what it would be like. And you got to go do all the same stuff you did the last year again and get it back up to the way it was. So yeah, hats off to those guys. It's incredible.
Yeah, well said, Reggie. I think that there's pros and cons to everything. There's good and bad. With everything bad comes something good, and it just goes to show how, you know, a community coming together. Like, you look at some of those videos in the last couple of years, it wasn't just the grounds crew; it was also just volunteers, people of the community who understand the importance of the golf course there and just want to get it to what it should be. And so, when things like that happen, they obviously get support and they get new systems in place to next time this happens, maybe it won't be so bad. So anyways, big shout out to them. And we should give a little break here because I'm getting texts and there's lots happening in the chat here. None of it relating to golf, unfortunately. So if you are here watching the golf show, maybe just put a little golf emoji in there. But I think this is a good time to give a shout out to one of our sponsors of the Domies. Not a local company, actually. It's Bitcoin Well. And they're a sponsor of the show that I do for Bitcoin. And they're actually going to be a sponsor of the show for the Domies in 2025. So if you are trying to get in on the action, I see that Bitcoin went all the way up to 1015. So it is ripping right now. You can see the chat. Everybody's buzzing. But if you're looking to get on the action, very simple. Look at this. We even got a little thing queued up here. Go to bitcoinwell.com/JOR, JOR. We'll have a King one in the new year, but for now you can use the JOR one. And you get some free Bitcoin just for signing up there. So if you want to get in on the action, if you got some FOMO, and I see a bunch of great guys and gals here in the chat. Some F-bombs, some flames, and it's pretty exciting. I don't know how many Bitcoiners there are watching the show outside the ones in the chat, but it's a pretty historic day. So shout out to everybody who is holding the Bitcoin, and shout out to Bitcoin Well for sponsoring the boys here. Pretty cool. So what's next? Reggie, you're on mute.
Sorry, boys. My automatic cat feeder was going off in the back. I didn't think you guys needed to hear that. So being totally straightforward. Next up, we have the most underrated course. And everybody in Manitoba, probably in all the different regions, has their own idea of what the most underrated course would be. You always think your home course is, and it's good to take it to the test of the internet to see what kind of the majority of people in Manitoba feel like is the most underrated course. And to be completely honest with you, I mean, both these courses, Jor, you had nothing but good things to say about Lorette. You went out there this summer. A couple of my buddies from Winnipeg go out there all the time to play. From what I've heard, it's incredibly underrated. Maybe not that underrated now because it's made such an appearance on the Domies every year or last year, and so maybe they're not so underrated now. But and the other one is Carmen, and we played it. Would have been when we played hockey in Carberry, so that was probably like 2011. So that was 13 years ago. I played that course, and I just watched their flyovers online a little bit last night and the rest this morning. And man, what a beautiful course! Holy smokes! You kind of take for granted, like people always say that you go to Arizona and there's so many nice golf courses, and you go to BC and there's so many nice golf courses. But man, if you had enough time, like there is a ton of nice golf courses in Manitoba. That absolutely. These courses are in mint shape, and they hardly get talked about unless they get brought up on something like this, and you kind of get the itch to go play them. But man, it's crazy. We're fortunate to have all these courses here. Anyways, enough about that. The most underrated course, the Domie for 2024, goes to Carmen.
Nice.
Carmen Golf and Country Club. Reggie's the only one who's played it. So, I mean, in that sense, that fact, it probably is fairly.
You played it.
Pardon me?
You played it.
I played it.
I think we played it in like high school too. Maybe like for
scramble
or something like that.
Smitty and Shitty. Smitty and Shitty on the team. But that's 13 years ago. So
I also think, if I remember that day correctly, we started drinking on the bus on the way out there at about 7 a.m.
Yeah, I didn't remember much of it, but lots of the holes flashback. Number 9's an unreal hole. 18's an unreal hole. They both got water along the side of them, and they come back to the clubhouse. It's stunning for a small town. I mean, like Carmen, what population do they have there? It's pretty tiny, isn't it?
I honestly don't know. I'll look it up.
Yeah,
we have that ability.
Like, man, that clubhouse is nasty. It's like a 2-tiered clubhouse, and it's sick. I remember specifically that day that Terry Riley was actually there, the pro at Niagara now. And his team shot we thought we were okay getting in at 15 or 16 under. We thought we had a good day. And I think his team was 23 under. Just absolutely ripped it apart.
Oh, you gotta hate when that happens.
Yeah.
There's got to be no worse feeling than that. You shoot the round of your life, and then you get beat by 5 strokes.
Yeah, just got rinsed. No, by 7 strokes. So
you get into the clubhouse, and you're like, oh man, if we just would have made that putt on 17, we probably would have won this thing. And then somebody beats you by 6. It's happened to a lot. It's happened a lot, and I think people can relate to that.
Anyways, yeah, shout out to Carmen. Congrats on the Domie. Got to get out there too next summer, maybe.
The first Domie for Carmen Golf Club. Is it Carmen Golf Club? I don't know. Anyways, we got Gareth in the chat. The head pro, the general manager at Lorette Golf Course, and he's showing some love to Patty from Manitoba. So well done, Patty and the team. If we were going to lose, I'd be happy it was to you guys. Winning brings responsibilities. Let's keep pushing great golf course content in Manitoba. Amen to that. You know what? Absolutely. I think that's probably, I know we've made a shift and a transition into this crazy social media, high-tech world, but there's some courses out there who, and one of them is actually a Domie recipient tonight. I won't say the name, but there are courses that really need to start paying attention to their social media and start promoting their course. That's where people look now. I mean, the first step, I think, for a lot of people is getting a website, believe that or not. But now it's you don't just need an Instagram page with your deals and stuff like that. You need to be promoting your course. So I think look no further than Lorette and Dosa for some guidance on that. And I think that, if more golf courses started doing that, I think they'd get a little bit more foot traffic. So
yeah, I mean, a couple examples of that, Tor. When we're on the East Coast, we sit there and we're trying to decide which courses we want to play, and we've played most of them now, but I mean, we look up the website and look at the hole flyovers to check them out. And when I was in Philly, me and Trav, one of the courses we couldn't get onto, or there's a course we couldn't get onto because it was a Monday. So, I mean, we both sat there for a half hour on our phones looking at websites and looking at Instagrams of courses to try to figure out what course to play at. I mean, it makes a huge difference, right?
It Not really
just having a website, but having a quality website that actually shows off your course, right?
Carmen, I forgot about this. Carmen is the home of Eddie. I'll give you $1 billion Belfour. So shout out to Jason. Jason is a Manitoban, but living in Cowtown. So shout out to Jason. He said Oak Island's the most underrated, but if he listens to the rest of this award show tonight, I don't think that he will say that they're the most underrated. They get a lot of love now, but deservedly.
Also, what's he talking about Verdun? We've pumped up Verdun quite a bit in the past on this pod, and it's one of our favorite 9-holers around here. So what's the story there? I haven't heard anything on them.
Maybe I've been there for a couple of years now. Maybe it tanked, or also maybe Jason hasn't played there in a while. But yeah, last time we were there, I was pretty impressed with the conditions of it, and it's a fun track. It is. They didn't get any sort of love on the Domies this year, but they probably deserve to. Anyways, what's next, Rummy?
All right, next up we have the Domie for the best greens. The finalists for best greens were Southwood and Oak Island. And the 2024 Domie for the best greens goes to, not a massive shocker in this group of 3, but it's Oak Island. Boys, we say it every year, absolute perennial favorite, takes home the belt again this year. I don't know how many times we can say this. The greens are always in phenomenal shape. Played twice there this year, 2 days after they punched greens. You would never have any kind of indication with how the ball rolled afterwards that they had just punched them. Just phenomenal shape. So the boys seem to have their shit figured out there with respect to the greens, and they continue to kill it year after year.
Huge shout out to Oak. I mean, historically, Oak Island has been known for their fairways, even when they went through their little rough patch there in terms of management and cutting the budget for the grounds crew. Their fairways have always been 12 out of 10. But it hasn't been until the last couple of years, and I don't know what they did. I don't know what they changed, but their greens have been phenomenal. And I mean, it's very tough to judge greens. I think people have different reasons why they like greens more than others. The way I like to measure the greens is the consistency. And if I hit a putt and I think it's going in and it goes in, those are good greens. If they're true, consistent and true. And I think that's the one thing that really stands out for me at Oak Island more than any other course. So it's good to see. It's really good to see that their greens caught up to their fairways, and it's turned into such a well-rounded course there. So another big shout out to our pals at Oak Island. I'm sure everybody's getting sick of us talking about them, but can't stop, won't stop. Reggie, you got anything to add? You're on mute still.
On mute again, yeah. No, they are absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, I didn't make it to King Cup this year. I didn't even get to play Oak at all this year, but all the hype I heard, everybody I talked to that played Oak this year said it was just phenomenal. The greens are always so good there, and they have the perfect balance of they spin a little bit, they don't overspin, and they're always fast, and yeah, they do roll true. So yeah, they got some phenomenal greens there. Obviously, won the Domie, and I've also heard the same about Southwood, so it's no surprise they were in the finals. Everybody who plays there said the greens are unbelievable.
Yeah, we should give a shout out to Southwood because they've never been nominated. They've never been close to winning. So, I mean, just based on that, I feel like they could have been in the running for most improved. But it is tough because the nominees come from people. The nominees are selected by how many people write in and say that course. So up until this year, I don't think Southwood's ever been nominated for any sort of Domie before. And I mean, they made it right to the finals. And actually, that one was pretty tight as well. I think that was one of the tighter ones, was the greens and Oak versus Southwood. So shout out to Southwood. I've never played there before, but from what I hear from people in the city, it is definitely worth checking out. So next one, eh?
Yep.
Another Bitcoin break, 102,000.
Jesus.
Can you believe it? Reggie, remember when we were doing shotguns for every dollar Theta went up?
Yeah.
Good thing we haven't been doing that for every $1,000 that Bitcoin's gone up in the last 2 months since Trumpy got in. Okay, let me find this here. So the next award, speaking of Oak Island, the best fairways. So this one's interesting because there's a lot of really good fairways out there. I think there's a lot of one thing we're blessed with here in Manitoba is lots of water. And I think we kind of take that for granted, especially if you look to the neighbors to the west. They don't have a whole lot of water there. So a lot of the stuff within the courses in Manitoba is very organic, not a huge water bill there. But the fairways. And the two nominees this year are Oak Island, which I think have won every year so far, the Domies, and Falcon Lake, home of many UFO sightings. So this was the tightest one. This one actually came down to 2 votes out of how many we have? 40 some. I think we sent it out to 50. We got 40 some votes back. And this one came down to 2 votes, which was the closest one. So the winner of the best fairways 2024, Falcon Lake.
Ooh.
Hard to believe, really hard to believe that anybody out there could have better fairways than Oak Island. That's what they've historically been known for, as we just alluded to. I've never played Falcon. Reggie speaks very highly of the fairways there. But Reggie, compare Oak and Falcon. What's the difference there? Are they similar? Different grass? What's the metric there?
Yeah, definitely both unbelievable fairways. We're comparing. I mean, Oak Island's won this every year, so it's not like they're a slouch. And obviously, Falcon Lake, for it to get the votes, I mean, being on that side of the province and us not having a whole huge following over there, obviously tells you something. We played there. East and I went there 3 or 4 years ago now, and just so lush, like incredibly lush. The whole course was just unreal. I remember saying that when I came back that the fairways were so good, and I don't know what separates them. I mean, oak is phenomenal as well. I think it might be different grass, but I don't know. Just you'd have to go play there and just see. Like it's just like carpet rolled out for 18 holes of perfect fairway. Like it's unreal.
So as mentioned, that vote came down to 2 votes, and even on the Instagram. So if you consider our audience, as we mentioned, it is kind of mostly West, man. Lots of big Oak Island fans. But even the vote on Instagram, Oak ended up winning that one. 134 votes Oak Island had, and Falcon had 109. So that's pretty impressive. And as we mentioned here, the golf experts chose Falcon Lake. But I mean, for Falcon Lake to get 109 votes from our Instagram community, I mean, they must be doing something right there. So what's the course like, Reggie? Outside of the fairways, like it's pretty solid?
Sick course. Yeah. Unreal. Yeah. I think there's that one hole. It's like a 260-yard par 3 or 255-yard par 3. Tough. It was a tough course. It was I remember when we went golfing, we got paired up. East was golfing, and we golfed with a father and son. It was kind of painful. They're both kind of hackers. So the 18 wasn't that enjoyable, but then I went back. I don't know if it was that night or the next night, and just played 9 by myself at nighttime. And it was just so good, so pure. Everything was just like absolutely mint. It's a sick course. It's quite a ways out of the way for us, but it's only about an hour and a bit from Winnipeg. So a lot of people from the city drive out there to play. A lot of people have cabins out there. So
let me get a map on this Falcon Lake. I don't even know where the hell it is.
Just on the border, pretty well.
The Bitcoin crew has showed up. You guys would not believe what's happening here. 103,000.
We'll cover that after the domes.
I'm sorry. I'm excited.
I know.
I'm gonna find out where the Google Maps is. I'm doing my best here to try to contain my excitement. But it is not easy, let me tell you that. Okay, so Falcon Lake, as Reggie mentioned, is close to the Manitoba-Ontario border. Just east of the White Shell, that's Granite, right? White Shell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granite would be like north of
yeah.
it.
So it's east of Granite and Pinawa, actually. But pretty much just north of Buffalo Point, which is another. I'm surprised. I mean, I don't think we have a whole lot of followers from Buffalo Point, but that was also a very underrated course, Buffalo Point, which looks like it's about an hour south of Falcon Lake. So it is out of the way, but by the sounds of it, I mean, if you got better fairways than Oak Island, I would say it's probably worth the drive out there because
what I would recommend, like for the crew, it's probably not something that, I mean, it might be something that we go out there and a group of us go out there and play, but it's more of like they got phenomenal camping and phenomenal lakes that are all kind of in that area. So it's a place you could take your family and go play, like sneak out to the course yourself or go camping there. And yeah, it's such a cool area, and it's hard to believe that it's that close to us actually, because that's an underrated area actually. It's very busy, but it's very good. Like, I mean, the Lake of the Woods, like that whole area is just incredible, the White Shell. So it's no surprise that there's a nice golf course tucked in there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the map here. There's a lot of cool stuff there. It looks like, what is that, Lake of the Woods? Yeah, Lake of the Woods. Anyways, pretty cool. So I definitely got to get out there. I need to get out there. So what do we have? We have Falcon Lake to get to. Mm-hmm. We have Carmen. And what was the other one? Right off the hop. Granite. Get back to Granite. I mean, that's probably the play, eh? Drive to Granite first. Hit Falcon the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be a good weekend.
Because that's it's quite far out of the way. But I mean, if you're
You
going
could
there,
actually stay in Winnipeg.
stay in Winnipeg.
You could.
Yeah. All right. Well, big shout out to Falcon. So we had another first-time winner tonight. That's good to see. That's good to see. So the next Domie. Which one am I doing
Yeah.
here? We mixed this one up.
You just did that one.
Oh, I did that one. Sorry, boys. Reggie, you're up. Go ahead.
Next up, we get the best 9-hole course. Crown champion last year was Lorette. They're back in the finals this year against Souris. Another unbelievable 9-hole track. We've talked about it quite a bit on here. This year's Domie for the best 9-hole course in Manitoba goes to Souris.
Nice.
Souris Glenwood. Shout out
Bryce
to the
Schroll will be happy.
What's that, Reggie?
Bryce Schroll will be very happy.
Yeah, if Bracer ends up watching this, he'll be smiling ear to ear right now. That's his pride and joy, and for good reason.
Very good reason.
Let's start with Souris. I mean, have you guys both played Souris before?
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it would be up there right with Carmen, right with Lorette, right with Falcon in terms of most underrated. And the crazy thing for me is how close it is to Brandon and how underrated that course is. Like if you look at it, if you played it before and you understand how some small town golf courses are, and I think that's why Manitoba really stands out, because it doesn't have many holes like that kind of run back and forth. But if you look at Souris Golf Course, like the first hole there is wild. It's like a 200-yard. You have to hit like a 7-iron, 6-iron, or get it down to the hill and risk running into the rough or into the river. It's a very steep curve down. And then you go through a whole bunch of different curves and the hardest hole in the world on number 5. And then you play 8, par 3, which is also a tough one. And then you get to 9, which is a great closing hole. I think that Souris is extremely deserving of this award. And I'm happy for them.
It's another one of those 9-holers that's always in amazing condition too. Despite the limited resources that I'm sure that they all kind of have that trouble going through each year. Do they still have the tow rope? That used to be on 9. You'd have to get the tow rope back up from the green up to the clubhouse. I remember as a kid that was just icing on the cake for an unreal course. So hopefully that's still around. But yeah, man, some of these small towns around here absolutely blessed with just phenomenal courses for them. Like we just talked about in the chat, Verdun, Souris, Melita we really liked when we were out there. I get a lot, Delrain.
Rossman.
Rossman.
Rossman was in the semis. Rossman lost out to Lorette, but they snuck in there. Deservedly so.
And we've kind of mentioned it in kind of more of a long form on the pod before, but there's kind of our generation that's starting to take over management of these courses that understand the necessities of social media, being kind of up to date with things. And it's good to see that that's kind of coming through and it's working out. Carberry, another one where it's the younger crew that's taken over, and they've got just courses in amazing shape around here.
Yeah, I think on that note too, Drums. I was going to mention like these 9-hole small town courses. They're not much of they're not the business that the city 18 courses are. The city 18-hole courses are. They're not. They're a board of people who give a shit about the course, right? Like that are all in on the course. And there's always one guy. It's obviously Gareth, and he's probably got a flock of guys in Lorette. But a guy like Gareth that really prides himself in the golf course and really puts everything he has into it. And it's unbelievable what they do in small towns for these golf courses, man. It's crazy. Like I think some of the coolest courses in Manitoba are 9 holes, and because of the story and the locals know the story of it, and the right people are getting on the boards, and like you said, Drums, the young wave's kind of taken over, and it's away from that kind of old stuffy policy with the old boards, the old guard, and these new guys are taking over, and man, you could do a tour of just 9-hole course in Manitoba, and enjoy the hell out of it. There's some very good courses in that. It's so cool that they're all so community minded, and it takes the whole community to run them. And there's always that one guy though that just kind of takes the lead and recruits people with him, and just takes that little 9-hole town course to something that we talk about on here, and something that people talk about all over the province and travel to play. Right? It's special. I mean, Delo's doing the same thing. We drove out there to play with the boys from Delo, another young board there running that course. Lots of these are municipal ran too, so I mean, there's not a whole lot of funding available. So yeah, they're doing some crazy things right now with the 9-hole courses. It's awesome to see in Manitoba, and small towns need that stuff, man. Like
it is amazing. Like it's you look at some of the city courses, they never have an issue filling the tee sheets, especially these days. It's a little bit harder for people to drive out to some of these smaller towns that there's not a huge population around. But I mean, even if you think of a course like Rossman Lake this year, and Rossman Lake, it's not the busiest course. It doesn't have funding from a city or anything like that. They were in desperate need of a new shop for the greenskeeper here, Dwayne. And so what did they do? They raised funds for it. They had a couple tournaments. They got shit done. It was the community who did it. They came together. They helped build it. And within a year, they went from an idea to a nice, very nice shop here to keep the head guy happy. So that's the kind of stuff that you see in small towns. And that's why we love the 9-hole courses so much. And we should give a special shout out to Lorette, because unfortunately they weren't able to win any awards this year, but they were finalists in 3 categories: social media, underrated, and best 9. And I think 2 of them were very close. But if you look at the Instagram results, they think that Lorette won. So we got the pleasure of playing Lorette for the first time this summer. Drake and I went out there for 9 holes, and the hospitality there, 12 out of 10. The golf course was very good shape. It was very fun to play. And I would highly suggest, if anybody's out in the Winnipeg area and they just want a change of scenery, they want to try out a new course, definitely check out Lorette. They're very deserving of the underrated, and again, a lot of pride in that 9-hole course. So congrats to Cirrus. Amazing work. It's good to see that they're getting recognized for what they've built there and what they've been doing. And a special shout out to Lorette as well. So what's next?
Next up, we have the best golf hole. And the finalists were number 6 in Neepawa and number 17 at Clear Lake. And the 2024 Domie for the best golf hole goes to number 17 at Clear Lake. Boys, yearly favorite for this one. This is, as it seems by the voting, it's almost a no-brainer every year. Great that Neepawa was the finalist. That's amazing too. But it's hard to knock the king off the crown. Clear Lake takes it again. Absolute perfect golf hole, in my opinion. You get the elevated tee down to the green surrounded by the creek, just the views of it. I don't know how many times growing up, every time we get to that hole, it's empty the bag. Let's see if we can get a hole in one. Reggie, you can speak specifically to a couple hole in ones at that memorable hole. But this one's pretty easy. Everybody that plays that course, 17's always in the back of your mind when you tee off on one, is I can't wait to get to that hole. It's always a favorite.
Yeah. 2 aces there. It's obviously my favorite hole. Favorite number 17, couple aces there. It's unbelievable. That hole just, what more could you ask for? Like, it's so challenging, but so good. It can play so different too. Like, if the wind's up into your face, like, you could have to hit like a knockdown pitching wedge there, or you could hit a little 60-degree wedge. Like, it's such a good golf hole. And really, like, at the end of the Tamarack, like, you're trying to close off matches, and it's one of those holes where anything can happen there. Mm-hmm. I've seen so many wild shots at that hole. It's crazy. I've seen guys chunk it 5 feet off the tee because they're so nervous to go in the creek, or just blast into the back bunkers or into the back push. Like, it's such a cool golf hole. And number 6 at Neepawa, the runner up, like, that's a very, very, very tough hole. like incredibly tough
and beautiful.
Yeah, and beautiful. Green is so sick. That's a sick hole.
I mean, the thing that comes into my brain when I think about 17 at Clear Lake is iconic, right? Like everybody knows that hole. I think that you'd have a hard time finding a better golf hole in this whole area. Never mind just Manitoba. Like it's one of those holes. I think there's one at Dakota Dunes. It's kind of similar to that. If I think of par threes, with the elevation, with the beautiful backdrop. But as Reggie said, like it's not just beautiful. It is a tough hole, and especially coming in, you got some pressure, you got some nerves. You want to close out the match. You want to finish a good round. Like lots can go wrong there, and I know that from experience. Especially if you're in the stroke play part of the Tamarack or trying to close out a match, you get some nerves up there. Like there's no score that's out of bounds, I don't think, on that one. With the creek, with a whole bunch of rough running between the tee box and the creek, it's a tough hole, and it's very hard to judge. It's one of those shots that people hate in terms of like a 60 to 90 yard swing. I think that most people would agree that that's probably the toughest shot in golf, either a half swing or a 3/4 swing. So very deserved. Clear Lake, they're a runner up in or the winner of the next one. I don't know what they are, but it's good to see them getting some attention for good reason. It's an iconic course and an iconic golf hole. So congrats to hole 17.
Little sidebar on hole 17. Also might be one of the more dangerous driving holes. I think I've seen. No?
They've changed it completely. Like it's like a highway now, and it's got things up on both sides. Like
okay, I don't think I've played in maybe 2-3 years, but I think I've seen maybe 4 crashes at the green area, because it was just you'd come in hot in there and you can't stop, or you're going in the creek, and bang, you're into the back end of another cart in front of you. So a little word of caution for that one too.
I think the last straw, I think I was at the Tamarack, and I think some old couple tipped off the edge. I think they were watching their grandkid or something, tipped off the edge and smashed up the cart. So yeah, they built up that the pathway pretty good. It was actually probably wider than some of the roads I drove on in Madeira. Me and East were joking when we were there. It's like a little highway now. So
wait, you were in Madeira? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, basically the road goes into the bush now, Drums. You got to go right instead of straight down left. It goes into the bush pretty much now, and then down and back to the left.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
well played.
I mean, that's I'd say that was one of the most dangerous holes, but a close runner up to that is hole 1 at Kenosee.
Holy
that's the closest I've ever came to death on a golf course.
Is that a new category we got to incorporate here, or what?
Most dangerous drive?
Yeah.
I mean, and Nipawa too. The hole, is it right after 6?
Well, what about Oak Lake going under the bridge there? The beer cart gal took the roof off the one year.
Most dangerous hole
at Nipawa though. That's a wild trip because guys are coming up from 6 too.
So, yeah, that's right. That's the one I was thinking of. But anyways, before we get to the best overall, we do have a little bit of a sidetrack here. We're going to give some non-Manitoba love here. Speaking of dangerous holes, Drummy, you want to kick things off with your honorable mention, or not honorable mention, but outside the borders of Manitoba?
Yeah, I think for lack of better terms, just an honorable mention. We wanted to make sure that it was within driving vicinity, nothing crazy, but maybe these couple courses that we're going to mention to make sure we show some love to. We're just outside of Manitoba. We just mentioned it, Kenosee. One of our favorite destinations for a boys trip, just an absolute perfect setting, perfect location for it. You got amazing amenities, the bar. I don't know that the water slides are up and going still, but they got just a great beach there. The hotel's perfect. The cabins are awesome. You're a walk across the highway to the clubhouse, so it's nothing like you have to travel too crazy. Big Bear, or is it
White Bear?
White Bear. White Bear's White Bear's right around the corner too. So there is 2 great golf courses within relatively easily driving distance for the location. So we always want to make sure that we give Kenosee a shout out. Course is always in phenomenal shape. They make sure they come and play the King Cup, so we've got to make sure that we reciprocate and make sure that they get some love as well.
And it's not a far drive. Yeah. It's like, less than 2 hours from Brandon, maybe an hour and a half?
Yeah, I think an hour and a half.
Unreal layout.
Yeah.
It is.
Unreal. That's such a fun course.
It's fun. It's hard. It's good scenes. It's kind of everything that you want to hit at that kind of like destination golf trippy type setting. So yeah, it's just perfect for that.
Tough that the Moosehead burnt down, but
yes,
yeah,
lots of good times there.
Pour one out for the Moosehead. Reggie, who you want to talk about?
I want to talk about home course of Chesy, Madge Lake. I went and played it at the end of the summer with Ches. God, that's a fun course. Holy, and it's challenging. It's different. It's so. What's the word that people use? People would say it's gimmicky, but it's not really. Like, it's once you play it a few times and you know where to hit, it is a fun course, man. And it was in great shape this year too. And Chesy ran it for the first time this year, so that's exciting. I'll be sure to get up there a few times this next summer. I mean, it's so close to Child Lake that if I'm going to be up there, I might as well go play a quick 18. And it's actually people need to type into Google to see how far it is, because it's actually a heck of a lot closer than you realize.
Yeah,
because even from Rossburn, like, it would only probably take you an hour and a half.
Yeah, past Roblin, I think it's crazy. An hour to Roblin, and then whatever's past them, just over an hour and a half probably. But yeah, got the pleasure of playing last year with who was it? Snoopaloop and Stikey.
2 years ago now.
2 summers ago, yeah.
Yeah.
But very surprised. Beautiful course, great condition, and our favorite guy from the chat. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight. I thought he'd be here for sure. But Chesy was the GM there this year. So Reggie got the pleasure of playing with him around there, and good scorecard by the sounds of it. So the one I want to talk about actually is a couple of them, and I don't want to focus on one, but I want to give a shout out to the Dakotas here, because Dad and I played Minot Country Club in the spring, and I was blown away. It was like being on a different planet almost from Manitoba. Even Minot from here is less than like 3 hours across the border, and I could not believe how I don't even know how to explain it, like how hilly it was. I didn't really realize that Minot had that many hills and valleys in it, and change in elevation. It was kind of like a linksy style course. It reminded me a lot of like Dakota Dunes, but with more rolling hills and more elevation, but some just beautiful. And I don't know if it's semi-private or private, but we managed to get on there. So if you're ever in Minot in the summertime, definitely check out Minot Country Club. And if you go a little bit further, we played Bully Pulpit for the first time this year, and a course called Hawk Tree, past Bismarck. Hawk Tree was in Bismarck, and Bully Pulpit was just, I don't know which way it was. I think west. It would have been west, about an hour. But highly recommend both those courses. They were both in phenomenal shape, very reasonably priced, and pretty hospitable too. You guys fall asleep?
No, I was looking to see what kind of valley that was that goes through Minot.
Oh, so yeah, you got Minot Country Club, you got Bully Pulpit, and you got Hawk Tree. I highly recommend, like, those are premier courses we're talking about. So if you ever have a chance to get out there for like a boys trip, what we did was we stayed in Bismarck. We played Hawk Tree. We went back to the hotel, and then we drove out to Bully Pulpit. It was just over an hour. And I could not believe how different the scenery was. It was like we were driving through, the prairies. There's wheat fields, exactly what it looked like driving, in Manitoba. But then all of a sudden you're like in Jurassic Park, it almost seemed like, or it was bizarre. It was like it's the Badlands, right? So it's like there was wild horses out there. Stocks thought they belonged to somebody, but I thought they were wild horses. But anyways, it was just like a completely different world there too. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures again at Minot. It looks amazing. The clubhouse looks like a hotel.
Oh, the clubhouse is like phenomenal. Like I was taking videos in there and pictures of, like, that's how nice it was. Like how many clubhouses would you do that?
Just a tourist, absolute tourist.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was right in town. I thought it'd be out in the country.
No, literally right in
Then
town.
you kind of think of like that big hill that you drive up.
Yeah.
When you're in Minot. So if it's on the side of that, yeah.
Huh. I mean, just North Dakota itself kind of seems like for the most part pretty flat.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you have in your mind. But yeah, beautiful course. Minot Country Club, Bully Pulpit, and Hawk Tree. Got to play all 3 of those this summer, so pretty lucky, but highly recommend.
Beauty.
Anyways, let's get to the last award here, the biggest one. We talked about this last night. We had a bit of a pre-game meeting last night, and we decided that we're going to name this one, this best overall course in Manitoba. We're going to name this one officially the Domie. This is the Domie. There's 9 awards, bunch of different categories, but this is the one that you want to win. And so we're calling this one the Domie. So best overall, and 2 highly deserved courses here. We got Oak Island and we got Clear Lake. And we just talked about Clear Lake hole 17 and how iconic it is. And the thing about this Clear Lake golf course, and this has also happened in the past too, but it is iconic. And they weren't in the runnings for best fairways. They weren't in the runnings for best greens, most improved, toughest, anything like that. They weren't even mentioned. But best overall, they're always right in the mix there. And both these polls, both the experts and the Instagram, were very close. But the winner of the 2024 Domie, the best overall golf course in Manitoba, Oak Island Golf Course. And it's hard to argue. It's really hard to argue. As much as we love Clear Lake, as much as iconic as it is, it's very tough to compete with the Oak, with the greens, with the fairways, with the layout of the course, with the staff there. Everything about it, from the second you drive into that parking lot and you wish you never had to leave that course, it is just an amazing experience. So anybody you talk to who's played it in the last couple of years, I think would agree with that. But again, it was a very close race. There was a couple close races, but at the end of the day, Oak Island with the crown.
As we always do at the exact same time every year. Huge shout out to Des and his crew. Just another phenomenal year for that course. And it sounds like they're getting more and more tournaments. Like we were talking to Des at the end of the year, and he said, book now. Because even for you guys, we got to get you booked because things are starting to happen out there. What do you call it? Like a community, the resort town, whatever it is, seems to be making a bit of a comeback. Unfortunately, the lake does hinder its growth and potential quite a bit because it is kind of a swampy lake. It's not the best. But yeah, again, they just keep killing it. You can't have everything. Clear Lake, we kind of spoke to this yesterday, Reg. You said, could you imagine what that course could do if they were allowed to use what everybody else uses and they weren't stuck with the regulations of Parks Canada? I mean, just think about that. What actual more potential that course could be, and how they operate with what they're allowed to use and whatnot for the course. So it's just a huge shout out to them again as well. Amazing.
I think one other thing too, obviously congrats to Oak Island again. Don't get to play enough. Shitty every summer. I say the same thing. Would love to get out there more often than I do. Crazy nice. Clear Lake, I'm usually pretty fortunate to play it a handful of times per year. I think one thing too that I think Clear Lake probably would change if they could, but they wouldn't be able to because they'd probably have to wait for the birds to nest in the trees, and they probably have to wait for the butterflies that have anything to do with the trees and the squirrels. But if they cut out the trees on 11 and 12, 12 might become the nicest hole in Manitoba over 17.
I think it's up there already, honestly.
If you could see the lake, though, off to the left.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, wow.
Like, that would be phenomenal. Like,
and it'd bring a whole nother challenge to it, too, because there'd be a whole bunch more wind flowing through there.
Yeah. It'd be awesome. I think, it'll never, ever happen because it's a national park, but it'd be so cool if it could. Maybe we just go there one night and just take the fine.
Take the fine. Eat it.
$1 billion.
just bump the green fees up a little bit. Anyways, we got Gareth in the chat here. Congrats, Carmen, Dean, and the team. Congrats, Cirrus. Never played the course, but you have to get out there. Absolutely. Everybody should get out to Cirrus, especially how close it is to Brandon. My God, it's like 25 minutes. And, you know, it's nice to play the Glen Lees, the Wheat Cities, you know, as much as you can. But, like, if it's busy, you try to get a tee time at Wheat City and there's nothing there, get out to Cirrus. Get out to Cirrus. You have to get out there. Garrett says, congrats, Des and the team at Oak Island. Jason says, well done, Oak. If they had a proper lake, it'd be tough to get on. I agree. It kind of already is getting that way without a good lake. And Garrett says, finally, guys, thank you for the Domies and highlighting the course in Manitoba. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Gareth. So that's it, boys. I mean, good to see. We had a couple new award winners this year. Just golf in Manitoba. I think golf itself is exploding. We've talked about this a little bit. We've been working on a few plans for 2025. We want to put a big focus on, as much as the game has been growing. I think it's important to get back to the roots in terms of what makes golf so special. A focus on golf etiquette, respecting the golf course. I think that we've kind of got away from that a little bit through the years in terms of the growth. It's expected, but you know, if you ask any golfer, Gareth, Jason, whoever's in the chat tonight, I think the most important thing we can do, not only supporting the courses and getting out there, but when we're there, just be respectful to the course, to the greens, to the fairways, because it's tough to keep up these, you know, to be in the mix for these awards, but it's tough on the grounds crew to try to keep things under control there. So I think that that's one thing that we do want to put a focus on, and we wanted to mention for this episode of Domies to really emphasize there. But outside of that, I mean, it's amazing. I think that we really take for granted how great the golf is here in Manitoba, and in a very small, you know, what would you call it? Geographical location. You can kind of drive to you drive down the road for an hour and you can, you know, find a really good golf course. And there was a bunch that we left off this year, and maybe to give a couple shout outs here throughout the year. We talked about the ones outside of our border, but played Winkler for the first time this year. It was phenomenal. I could not believe how nice that golf course was. Got back to Scotswood, also another beauty course. Verdon, Jason was talking about there, another great 9-hole course. There's countless ones. And it is something that we want to do into the future, is highlight this, continue doing the Domies, and throughout the weekly shows, or however we're going to be doing them in the new year. But outside of that, boys, do you have any closing thoughts for the year?
Yeah, you kind of nailed it when you were talking about respecting the course. I mean, I don't think that has been completely taught to the new people of the game. I wouldn't say. It's kind of it happens so fast, and there's not really any tutorials out there or anything like that. There's plenty of golf videos online, learning how to golf and learning how, I mean, your swing. Lots of good golf content out there right now that people are thriving on, but the actual fundamentals and the respecting the golf course, I don't think that's been taught enough. So, I mean, I think we try as hard as we can to get the word out there about the little things that maybe people should be doing that maybe they're not. But I think that each person in the golf community who's been around the game before this big explosion needs to do their part. And instead of hating on people for maybe doing stuff that isn't respecting the course, maybe just have a chat with them and just let them know, hey, this is actually what you're supposed to be doing in the golf course, and this is the way things go, and this is the etiquette. Because I don't think that happens enough. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like when we're on the course and you fix 5 divots when you're on the green. It's just little things that go a long ways to help the people, and everybody always just thinks, oh, the grounds crew will patch this up. And it's like, well, man, for example, Rossburn is Dwayne and his son. Like, they don't have time to be fixing your divots for you. I mean, they could be putting their time towards a lot better things, and I'm sure that goes for a lot of the 9-hole courses around Manitoba, and even the 18-hole courses. It's, yeah, they probably will do it. They probably will get the course back up to the way it was. But if it takes you 5 seconds to do it, why not just do it yourself? I mean, that's kind of the motto I always live by on the golf course. I mean, and when you're on the greens and you're patiently waiting, like look around, fix a few divots. When you're in the fairways, if you see the divot laying there on the fairway, go patch it. Like rake the bunker. Just because the person before you didn't rake it doesn't mean you follow suit and don't rake it as well. Like just do little things and it helps. Then those guys can put their time towards something else, and
Yes,
it drastically changes things. But we need to tell the new people to golf the rules, because I don't think they're being laid out there enough for them. I think it's kind of just the courses are trying to make money and they're getting as many people out there as they can, and there's not as much focus on etiquette, and it's kind of hurting the people that have been there since day one. So I think everybody in the golf community needs to do their part on that. So
make golf great again.
yeah.
Outside of that, just huge thank you to all the votes, everybody that voted for the Domies, and massive congrats to nominees, finalists, and winners. Just another successful year. Just we say this every year, just a huge year for the entire industry in Manitoba for 2024.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, let's close things out, boys, for the year.
That's it. Everybody have a great Christmas. We're out of here for 2024.
Hold on, we got to give one more. We got to give one more shout out to the sponsor drum. Sorry, had it written down on my paper here. So, big shout out to one of our close compadres here. They've been a big supporter of King Golf and a few other things we've been working on, and that is Grey Ridge Coffee. They're actually out of Manitoba. Dosa was nominated and won a couple of awards tonight. So they're a local brewer, a local roaster, from Manitoba. So Grey Ridge Coffee. And try out their coffee. I explore, if you get one thing from the show tonight, if you're in this area especially, or anywhere in Canada for that matter, go to greyridge.coffee. That's their website, or you can find them locally if you're around Manitoba. But if you're on their website, greyridge.coffee, you can actually use the code KNG, and you get 25% off. So if you still need some Christmas presents, if you want to get some stocking stuffers, a couple bags of coffee in there, you get 25% off. So that's pretty solid. That's a big shout out to them for sponsoring the show and offering that to our community. So they're going to be a sponsor in 2025. And another sponsor in 2025 is Bitcoin Well. And I know I was a little bit distracted throughout the show, so I'm sorry, Drum, sorry, Reggie. But it's pretty cool to see. It's pretty cool to be a part of it. And if you are somebody who is thinking about getting yourself some Bitcoin, make it very easy for you. bitcoinwell.com/Jor. And in the new year, that's going to be /KNG, but that's not set up yet. So you can use this one in the meantime. So you can go on there. They're very easy to use platform. You basically just send them an e-transfer. You put in your Bitcoin address. They send you the Bitcoin. And you can be part of this, whatever the heck is happening in the world of Bitcoin. $103,000 US for one Bitcoin. Historic night. The 4th annual Domies Drums takes out of here.
Like we said, we are out for 2024. Everybody have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas. We can say that again, apparently. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll catch you on 2025. Peace, boys. Love ya. Later.
Hey, fellas.